There are seasons in life when every path seems barred, every effort ends in silence, and even the prayers echo back with no reply. We knock and wait again, and still the door remains shut. To the eyes of flesh, it feels like abandonment, like perhaps the story is over or has wandered so far off course it can never be redeemed. But we are mistaken not in our longing, but in our understanding. For the one who writes the stars into place does not measure time as we do, nor does he open doors according to our logic. Often, it is when we have come to the end of all we know, when we have released every plan, every script, every demand for how things should be, that is when he moves. And not with the door we've been watching. No, he opens one we never imagined. Not because we earned it, not because we finally got everything right, but because he is good and his ways are higher. The delays were not rejections, they were preparations. The silence was not absence, it was the deep work of roots growing unseen. And when the time is full, he does not merely answer, he astonishes. So let your heart be lifted, not by certainty of outcome, but by trust in the one who holds the keys. He does not need permission from circumstances or cooperation from your enemies. He opens what no one can shut. And when that door swings wide, you will not walk through it as the same person who waited outside. You will walk through refined, readied, and radiant with the hope that only comes from a God who delights in impossible doors. There are moments in life when the doors we long to walk through seem firmly locked, when the paths we hope to follow disappear into a thick fog. It is easy in these moments to become disheartened, to believe that if we have not yet found the way, perhaps there is no way. We look around and wonder why others seem to walk through open doors while we stand still, waiting, knocking, and receiving no answer. The silence can be deafening, the waiting excruciating, but it is precisely in these times of uncertainty that faith becomes both our greatest challenge and our most profound gift. For we are often so quick to assume that the absence of a visible door is a sign of failure or divine neglect. We forget that just as the gardener knows when to wait for the seed to sprout, so too does God know when we are ready for the doors he has yet to open. The locked door is not the end. It is the beginning of a new way of seeing. A closed door does not signify rejection. It signifies preparation. There is a purpose in the waiting. God does not withhold from us because he is cruel, but because he is wise. He knows what we cannot yet see. The door we long for may not be the door that leads us to the life we are meant to live. It may be that behind it is a path that would hurt us, or that we are not yet strong enough to walk. And so he locks it, gently, lovingly, until the right time comes, when we are ready for it, or until a better door opens. But this in itself is a great act of love. It is not God's way of withholding, but his way of guiding. We cannot always see the future, nor can we know the complexity of the plan he has for us. We stand at the closed door, frustrated, confused, and perhaps angry. Yet the God who has shaped the universe is shaping our lives as well, and he will not lead us down paths that will break us. In these seasons of waiting, it is easy to despair. But it is also in these seasons that the most profound growth occurs. For it is not the door that will change us. It is the waiting, the trusting, and the remembering that there is something beyond our sight. God, who opens doors no one else can open, is working behind the scenes, preparing something far greater than we can imagine. And when he opens that door, it will not simply be the one we asked for. It will be the one we were meant for. The locked door is not your defeat. It is your invitation to trust in the one who knows what you do not, and who holds the keys to the life you are truly meant to live. And when that door swings wide, you will step through, not as one who begged for it, but as one who has been prepared for it. There is a kind of waiting that is not passive, not idle, but active. It is not the waiting that happens when we simply watch the clock tick away, filled with frustration and doubt. No, the waiting God calls us to is a waiting full of purpose, full of anticipation. It is the waiting that prepares us. It is the kind of waiting that strengthens and refines, even when we cannot see the results. And though it may not always feel like it, this kind of waiting is as much a part of God's plan as any door He will one day open. We are not often told what is happening behind the scenes. We see the closed door, the delay, the unanswered prayer, and we wonder if anything is happening at all. But waiting in God's economy is never a wasted time. It is the unseen work of the soul. He is preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. Just as a seed must grow roots before it can break through the surface to bloom, so too must we be deepened before we can bear the fruit He has planned for us. Waiting cultivates the soil of our hearts, removing the stones of impatience and pride, planting the seeds of trust and humility. This preparation is not always comfortable. It rarely is. But if we could see with spiritual eyes, we would recognize that every moment of waiting is an act of love. For it is in the quiet places where we feel forgotten that God works most powerfully. He is not absent. He is carefully shaping us. When the door opens, we will not simply have our desires met. We will be ready, whole, and strengthened by the waiting itself. In the world, we are told to rush. We are told to chase. We are told to seize what we can, when we can, as quickly as possible. But in the kingdom of God, there is a different rhythm. The pace of grace is slower, more deliberate, and much more profound. God is not in a hurry. He is not wasting time. He is perfecting what is imperfect, preparing what is unready, and making what is broken whole. And in that process, He is making us more like Him. When we wait in faith, we acknowledge that God is in control of both the timing and the opening of the door. We trust that the path He has for us is better than any path we could forge ourselves. Waiting then becomes an act of surrender. We stop trying to force doors open. We stop leaning on our own understanding, and we lean into His timing, trusting that He sees what we cannot, and that He is weaving a story far greater than we could write on our own. Waiting in faith is a powerful act of preparation. It is an active trust that God is working, even when we cannot see it. And when the door opens, whether we expected it or not, we will not only be ready, but we will step into it with the confidence that we have been shaped for this moment, even in the hidden places. It is a curious thing to walk through life, always thinking that we know what we need, how we need it, and when we need it, and when we need it. We have a tendency to imagine that the doors we seek will open in the way we expect, shaped by our desires and framed by our plans. We even dream of the moments when our prayers are answered in the precise manner we have envisioned. But as we continue our journey, we begin to discover that God's answers are not often what we imagine, nor are His blessings always the ones we anticipate. The miracle, it seems, is found in the unexpected. For God is not limited by our expectations. He is not confined to our plans or the narrow vision we carry. He is far too vast, too creative, too full of wonder to be bound by our imaginations. And so, when the door finally opens, it often swings wide, not to reveal what we thought we wanted, but what we truly need. Something far greater, deeper, and more fulfilling than we could have dreamed. This is the beauty of God's divine provision. We may spend years chasing after one thing, believing it will bring us fulfillment, and yet God, in His infinite wisdom, opens a door that leads us somewhere entirely different, to something we could never have foreseen. In that moment, we may be tempted to question why things didn't unfold the way we thought they should. But in time, the beauty of the unexpected reveals itself. We realize that the path we so desperately sought was not the one that would have shaped us, strengthened us, or drawn us closer to Him. The miracle in the unexpected is not simply about receiving what we didn't ask for. It is about trusting the one who sees the whole picture, the one who knows the end from the beginning. It is about the revelation that His plans are not just for our comfort, but for our transformation. And often, it is the unexpected doors that lead to the greatest growth. There is a humility that comes with walking through an open door you didn't plan for. It forces us to let go of our own agendas and surrender to a greater purpose. We learn that God does not need our plans to fulfill His promises. His ways are not just higher, they are better. And in surrendering our narrow vision, we find that He is leading us to something far more extraordinary than we ever imagined. It is in the unexpected that God shows His faithfulness most powerfully. The moment we accept that He is not confined to our expectations, we begin to see the miracles hidden in every turn, in every open door. When we let go of our own desires, we make room for His desires, which are always more abundant, more satisfying, and more in line with our true purpose. The unexpected is not a disappointment. It is the divine surprise. It is God's invitation to step into a life that surpasses anything we could have planned for ourselves. And when we walk through these unimagined doors, we discover that His provision was always enough, His timing was always perfect, and His plan was always better than we could have envisioned. We live in a world that thrives on immediacy, where delays are seen as inconveniences and waiting is often regarded as wasted time. We make our plans, set our goals, and expect results in the timeframes we have deemed appropriate. Yet, time and again, we find that God's timing does not align with our own. He does not operate on the clock that we are so accustomed to. His timing surpasses our plans, not in the way we might wish, but in the way we most need. When the door doesn't open when we expect it to, when the breakthrough doesn't come according to our carefully crafted timeline, we may wonder if God has forgotten us, or if He is simply indifferent to our needs. But this is where faith meets understanding. God's timing is never a matter of delay. It is a matter of divine orchestration. We see only a fragment of the puzzle, but He sees the whole picture. What seems like a delay is often the precise moment when we are being prepared to step into something greater than we could have imagined, something that requires the right moment, the right preparation, and the right circumstances. God's timing surpasses our plans in the most loving way. He knows that we are often not ready when we think we are. He knows that what we desire might not be the best thing for us in this moment. He knows that the door we long for might not fit into the larger plan He is weaving for our lives. And so, in His great wisdom, He opens doors not when we demand them, but when we are truly ready to walk through them, and when the conditions are aligned for us to receive His greatest blessing. There is peace that comes with this understanding. It is the peace that comes when we release our tight grip on our plans and open our hands to His will. We may not always understand why we must wait or why things unfold as they do, but we can trust that He is working in the unseen. His timing is not a delay, it is a refinement. It is the process through which we grow, become more patient, and learn to trust Him in the waiting. He is not withholding, He is preparing. And when the moment comes, when the door opens, it will be the perfect moment. The moment when we are most ready to step into the next chapter of our journey. In this way, God's timing does not disappoint, it surpasses. We can rest assured that He is always working behind the scenes, always aligning our path with His greater purpose. His delays are not denials, they are invitations to trust that His plan is far more beautiful than the one we had in mind. And when the door opens, we will walk through it with a heart full of gratitude, knowing that His timing was the perfect timing all along. There are moments in life when the path ahead appears closed, when all we see is a dead end, a closed door, or a mountain too steep to climb. We stand at these crossroads, looking around, wondering where to go next, only to find no clear way forward. The weight of disappointment may settle on our hearts, and the temptation to give up can feel overwhelming. Yet these moments, difficult as they may seem, often serve as the very place where God's grace shows up most powerfully. The closed path is not a permanent state. It is merely a moment in the grand narrative God is weaving for us. For God has the ability to open new doors when all seems shut, to create possibilities where there were none, to lead us through paths we never imagined. The closed door or blocked path may feel like an obstacle, but in reality, it is an invitation to trust that God is guiding us towards something greater than we could have planned on our own. We do not see it in the moment, but the closed path often points us toward a new direction, one that holds the unforeseen possibilities that only God can create. When one door closes, another does not simply open. Often, what opens is a door we never expected, a door we never imagined. It may be a path that leads us to people, places, and experiences we would never have chosen on our own. And yet, when we follow this new path, we find that it brings us closer to who we are truly meant to be. These unexpected possibilities hold the surprises of divine destiny, and though we may not have anticipated them, they are exactly what we needed to grow, to learn, and to step into the fullness of life God has planned for us. It is easy to resist the change, to mourn the closed paths, and to cling to what we thought was the way forward. But the truth is that God's plans are far better than our own, and the surprises He has in store for us are often beyond our wildest imaginations. What may feel like a detour is often the straightest line to the destiny He has prepared for us. The disappointment we feel when a door closes is a signal that God is opening up a new, more wonderful way, a way that is aligned with His perfect purpose for our lives. When we learn to embrace the surprises, when we trust that the closed paths are not the end but the beginning of something new, we begin to see life differently. We become more open to the unfolding of God's plan, even when it does not match our own. And in this openness, we discover that the best things are often those we never expected. The miracles of divine surprises are the gifts that come when we let go of our own expectations and trust in the one who knows us better than we know ourselves. So when a door closes, do not despair. Look for the doors that God is opening in places you never imagined. The best is yet to come, not on the path you thought you would take, but on the path God has chosen for you. A path filled with unforeseen possibilities, unexpected blessings, and divine surprises that lead you to the destiny He has ordained for your life. As we stand before doors that seem locked or closed, let us remember that God's ways are higher than our own, and His timing is always perfect. When the paths we seek seem hidden, it is not abandonment, but preparation. In the waiting, God is refining us, preparing us for something greater than we can imagine. The doors He opens may not be the ones we envisioned, but they lead us to the miracles and surprises that far exceed our expectations. Trust in His plan, and when the time comes, walk through with faith, for God's surprises are always worth the wait.